mortal dares to stand against Tirnoch, strike her down and salt the earth of her grave. Nothing may live lest Tirnoch commands it. Try as you might, struggle as you will, you are deluded. There is no winning for you, only death. By all means, ignore me. Continue your campaign. Kill my Tuatha. But death as you define it means little to us. The great cycle returns each Tuatha as Tuatha again. And every time they do, Tirnoch gets stronger. Soon she will be born into this world. You will witness her power personally, and it will be the last thing your mortal flesh shall ever feel.
Gadfro's voice has fallen silent in this land. The Tuatha are frightened and disorganized. They run back to Alabastra to make their final stand. We owe you much. Our eyes are opened and our blades unsheathed. Re-Reckonin is won, but the House of Pride stands between us and the final goal. We are now free to press forward. And I can take you to an old friend who knows the next step. Yes, we will take you to his filthy tower on the island of Danistar. He hides within, and has not emerged in some time. I would like nothing more than to let him rot there. But he knows of a way past the Sentinel of the House of Pride. But there will be more danger on the path ahead. Take these blades to prepare for whatever troubles you will face at his tower or beyond. Far to the southwest, there is a darkened tree by the Caelid coast. Meet me there, and we can walk the shadow to the gnome's tower. Aelin Shear will be waiting there. She was most insistent to join in whatever business you have with the Collector of the Dead. Meet me at the Caelid coast. the Winter Fae know of a shadow path to Ventrinio's island. We will meet again at the shadowed tree on the Caelid coast.
Hail, adventurer! I am Bruin the Bard, spinner of stories, seeker of adventure. Allow me to welcome you to the Caelid coast, haven to the wise and wicked. These brave soldiers, the finest of the Alfar armies. They escorted me all the way from Melsenshir to these verdant lands. Alas, our journey together has come to an end. But there is still adventure to be had, so join me. If not, then I bid you fair warning. Your journey shall be far less exciting without this storyteller at hand. Ah, yes. It has been nearly a decade since I have told tales for an audience, and I seek to reclaim that trade. These soldiers have been of no help. Fight, fight, fight. That's all they think about. So please, let me regale you with tales of the Caelid coast. I will make sure your time is well spent, and there may even be a twist at the end. A wise question, and a fair one. As Bard of the Gastia Court, I know all the tales of the Caelid coast, of how this great land rose and fell, and became what it is now. Allow me the pleasure of your company, and I will lead you through these luxuriant lands, spinning stories of times long since past. I had a good feeling about you. Someone who cherishes a good story. Let us proceed. The first stop on our tour begins across the bridge behind me. Alas, there is one small problem. That area is favored by our enemies. If you can clear the area of them, I will follow and join you. We must clear the spot ahead of Bolgan. It is a famous place, and they sully it with their presence and their stench. Excellent work. You are clearly much more proficient in the ways of war than most visitors of the Kaled Coast, even the soldiers. It would be my great pleasure. Picture it, 10 years ago, the rising sun, a lingering fog. Somewhere in the forest are screams, the cries of battle. Then silence. It happened here upon this site. The ambush of Gorn Akri. It is here on this spot where the Bolgan drew first blood, killing Lord Eringastir, his son, and their squires during their morning ride. Let us move on, shall we? And if you don't mind, there are more beasts to attend to ahead. The Bolgan have infested the entire area around Castle Gastir, my old home. Destroy them, and I will relate the tale of the first Lord of Gastir himself. Free the area around Castle Gastir from Bolgan, and we can continue on our journey. Goodbye. Hello. Hello. You have done it. You have rid the gates of the Bolgan. As promised, I have another tale to be told. The very first Eringastir arrived here generations ago from Mel Senshir, before the final tower was raised, when the great giants of Cluracan were but saplings. On that very first morning of his arrival, while the sun ascended the sky, Gastir scaled the heights and saw below him the great keep of the merchant Ancilla. Gastir could not bear such an intrusion on his new ancestral homeland, and swore an oath. By right of mine, and sword in hand, I will not forsake our native land. Now that you've seen Castle Gastir, we should move on to the final stop on our journey. The last thing I want to show you is near the coast, on the cliffs overlooking the sea. It's the best story yet. But again, it must be freed of Bolgan. Goodbye.
Through the woods and mountainside, through the hollows and green meadow, through the summer, winter, day and night, through the hallowed halls of seasons and song, through the
There, you've cleansed this place of the Bolgan. I shall tell you the last tale, the best of the lot. Believe me, these cliffs were made for my story. I've told the tale of the first Erengustir, he who discovered these lands. And I've told the tale of his descendant, the last Erengustir, he who lost these lands. My final tale is that this last lord took a young mistress to his bed, a servant named Wilda Brandon. They had a child he refused to claim as his own. To assuage his guilt, he wrote a royal letter in which he decreed to her and the child great wealth. But rather than take that letter, she took her own life. Here, that woman was my mother. Hear me, friend. I do not have much, but I will offer you all that I have to find me that letter. The letter that broke my mother's heart. I will read it, and I will finally know if what my mother told me was true. Then I will destroy it. I want nothing to do with Augustias. My mother never wanted his kingdom. She only wanted his love. That letter has haunted me for 10 years. I will now be rid of it. Of him. Friends. Yes. I suppose we are friends. I'm not sure where to look for Father's letter. Father. Strange to call him that. I would think he'd keep it near, lest such revelations be discovered. The castle. That would make some sense, wouldn't it? I'll be back at camp. Be careful. I would feel terrible if anything happened to you. I remember my father having a chest near his throne. I always assumed it was where he kept his mother's personal possessions. Goodbye.
this time, I'd just assumed Enodon had abandoned me, that there was no justice left in this world. But here before me stands the hero of Melsenshire, in the skin, fresh from the Baelor's bloodying, and it appears my prayers have been answered. Tell me, how much goodwill do you have left, Honored One? A Tuatha priest named Re-Reckonin has captured this keep. I am sworn to destroy him, for it was he who deposed House Gestir and stole their ancestral home. For 10 long years he has lived as a lord, hiding high in the royal quarters where none can reach him. At least, not without help. You see, I am Hilared Gastir, descendant of Lord Eren Gastir and last of my family line. This castle and all within it belong to me. My great-great-grandfather built this keep. You can still find the one stone resting where he laid it in the courtyard. We spent 4 generations in these hallowed halls. Then the Bolgan came, followed by their Tuatha masters. They killed everyone, Fae and Alfar alike. Re-Reckonin was the worst of them. He murdered my mother and now sleeps in my family's chambers. With your help, Honored One, my family will find restitution. You will be rewarded, my friend. We Gastiers have long memories of both our friends and our enemies. Come. Re-Reckonin knows I cannot pass through his gauntlet alone, but together we can avenge Castle Gastir. The castle has been completely ransacked by the Bolgan, and debris blocks the gate into the castle. We have to go around through the dungeons. Then I will have my revenge. Believe me, it has been far too long in coming. Hurry. done. Didn't even seem to remember me. I've given my life to finding and killing Re-Reckonin, and he probably didn't even understand why. But now the quest is ended, here, at home. I want you to have everything of mine as a reward, and to help me forget the many years of tragedy that led me to this end. Now go. I need rest. I deserve rest. Goodbye.
Hello. You have gone through much to bring me this, only to watch it destroyed. But it must be done. You understand? This letter proves that I am an heir to Gastir, and an heir to his heartlessness. He gave my mother everything, when all she wanted was his love. And now, she's gone. You are my friend. You may not agree, but that is what I choose to believe. You have helped me more than anyone has. I will remember you. I hope you will remember me. Goodbye.
A fledgling hunter by the looks of it. What's someone so soft doing in the Caelid coast? Don't you know this is Bolgan country? Those red devils are really digging in. I've slain many on my hunt for Chernobog. The scars don't give me away? Ha! You're probably the first person in recorded history not to recognize the mighty Alof the Hunter. Usually my reputation precedes me. As for why I am here in this muggy puddle of piss, I intend to conquer Chernobog, the mighty Bolgan, and win his eye as my trophy. But first he must be summoned, for he won't just face any foe, you know. Only those he deems worthy to smite with his blade. Ha! You're certainly welcome to try, but I'm afraid he'll be much too dead by the time I finish with him. Besides, you still have the offering to consider. Chernobog will only battle those who can prove their ferocity. It is his way of swatting away the flies who don't offer enough of a thrill for his fiery blood. If you can collect the eyes of 10 Bolgans, then you are clearly a warrior who deserves a reckoning. Set the eyes upon Chernobog's war lanterns and the beast will emerge. By offering the bloodthirsty beast the eyes of 10 Bolgan that you have slain. Once you place that bloody offering on the pedestal and light the war fires, the ugly brute will emerge. Goodbye.
These walls are grown, are built of stone. Lovingly this place was crafted. You see the lights, the mystic halls of ordered reality? They are the faces of the missing, the embodied truth of the lost souls. There are so many of them. Still, you can see them. They are like pathetic charades. Some with good intentions, and you can't fault them that. But the majority of them are just a hoax. Needless to say, I don't like it here. You could have stayed free and lived a comfortable life, but you couldn't settle the disquiet that haunts people like you.
Sorrow precedes you, mortal. It is almost enough to shift the great scale on its own. It has been centuries since my reverie was last disturbed. For what cause are you here? What could a mortal possibly want with me? Bizarrain, I have been sealed in here for some time, mortal. But even I know this one. His is the hand that leads the House of Sorrows, no? I know something of the war this land cries of. I will serve. But before I go to his side, you must find Alarain. She and I are as one. Once, long ago, Alarain and I walked the midden as faithful devotees of the Weeping King. She a tender, and I a delver. We were the first of our kind. But when the Weeping King passed, there was nothing. The House of Sorrows that he had built no longer served death, but the winter court that it itself had created. So Alarain and I left. We came here. We devoted ourselves to the contemplation of death, as the Weeping King would have wanted. It means much to me that you wish to reunite us. We have been long in isolation, contemplating death. Perhaps too long. As you found me on one part of the scale, so will you find her on the other. Now I will leave my cell to wait for you both. She tends to the scale as I have for these many centuries. You must reset the scale in order to reach her chamber. Very well.
How curious. You are mortal, but your steps resound with a burden greater than any one mortal might ever hope to bear. More curious still is your presence here. The great scale is not idly moved, nor is my reverie broken without cause. What is your purpose? I have felt the shifting of the scale. I know that Caelrod has now ended his contemplations to serve the King of Sorrows. It is no small thing that he asks, for the knowledge that was given to us by the Weeping King was never to propagate nor to be exploited. But I know of the times that are upon us. Come, let us join with Caelrod. If Bizerain and you are to find the Sorrows, then it is more than my knowledge you will need. Where we must meet, come, and the eldest will be reunited before you.
Goodbye.
You have come. I am gladdened that Caelrod and I are united once again. But if Bizerain truly seeks the Sorrows, then he will need more than the knowledge of the eldest. There is a key of sorts to the Sorrows. It lies in the hollow of Sincere, the hollow of the Weeping King. We must recover it. Yes, a mortal is not suited to this task, perhaps, but I do not believe we have time to find another to do this for us. We have not asked you to reunite us without cause. Our efforts must be divided. Bizerain must be instructed, and the key must be found. One of us will accompany you to Sincere, and the other will go to the house. We leave the choice to you, mortal. Very well. I have not had cause to use my blades in some time. I will shadow step to Sincere, and await you to meet me there. Our work awaits, mortal. Let us make haste.
Goodbye.
Be on your guard.